Cool.
All right, guys. So today's Lunch and Learn, we have our main man, Mo Dadkhah. Mo is an entrepreneur at heart. He is a business owner at heart. We're excited for him to pour into us today for the next 45 minutes. So Mo, you're going to correct me, right? You know, if I'm wrong, but you're the owner and co-founder, right, of Main Street Real Estate Group?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. And then Mo, you've had a pretty interesting journey because you're also the attorney, you know, and the owner of the Dadkhah Law Group.
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right, cool. So Mo, let's jump into that for a minute here. All right. So tell us about you. Tell us about your journey before we get into the value you're going to give us.
Awesome. So, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to you guys for having me. Joe, I appreciate you guys having me on. So I got out of law school in a tough market, and I think it's relevant for what's going on right now too. So I think it'll organically move into kind of what happens in down markets. But 2009 was a tough market. I got into law school in 06, amazing market, got out of law school in 09, applied for a couple jobs. I had a $35,000 and a $37,000 offer to be an attorney. And I said, well, I don't love law that much. I was making more money as a personal trainer in college. So I was driving home and I called my dad and I was like, Dad, I don't know what to do. I don't think I'm going to take this job. And he said, I told you to be a doctor. And I kind of laughed and said, well, that doesn't help me now. And I decided to open.
Your dad's a doctor, yeah?
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Okay, got it.
And his dream was for me to be a doctor, and I let him down. So I decided to open my own law firm, which was a scary thing to do in 2009. And I didn't really know what I was doing. So I don't know if any of the people joining on are realtors and attorneys, but attorneys don't really learn how to practice law until they are actually practicing law at a law firm. So I would go to the Daily Center, which is our courthouse in Chicago, and I would sit around with a notepad and just learn how to practice law, which might sound scary to some of my early clients, but I really wasn't making any money. I was on Craigslist offering to cover cases for $50. So if you have a case at the Daily Center, I'll cover your status for $50.
Right.
So I needed a second job. And I got a real estate license because attorneys don't have to actually take the coursework. They just have to pass the test. So got a real estate license, and it was really supposed to just be a kind of onesie, twosie, a year deal thing and just keep some income to provide at that time for my mortgage, for my car payments. One thing led to another. And I partnered up with a business partner, I won't name him, opened a Northbrook real estate brokerage in 2013. He turned out to be not the best business partner in the world. And at that point, I had about 13 agents with me, and I needed to find a home for those agents. So that's how Main Street was born. And originally, I didn't intend on opening a real estate brokerage. I just kind of fell into that as I partnered up with my old business partner. And once I had opened that brokerage, I felt a sense of needing to do something for those 13 agents. I felt responsible for them. I had invited them into the industry. They were all brand new agents. And I felt like I had a responsibility to find a home for them. So I sat down, I spoke to a couple different brokerages, and my business partners and I at Main Street decided, let's give this a shot and try to open Main Street. So in 2014, we opened Main Street. Now I have Dadkhah Law, which is still active, and I have Main Street.
All right, you have Main Street. So let's go into your real estate business. What is your role at Main Street? Are you? I know you're a teacher and a consultant. Do you sell real estate?
I do. So I still sell real estate. At Main Street, we knew, and I'm sure some of you guys on this chat understand the brokerage side of things. We knew that to grow a strong brokerage, we had to reinvest a lot. So I reinvest most of everything that comes into Main Street back into our office and our agent. So I produce on my I've been a top producing realtor at CAR for the last, I want to say 4 or 5 years that I've actually been producing a ton of real estate. But my day-to-day role at Main Street is coaching and training realtors. I coach when it's not coronavirus time and I'm in the office. I'm basically coaching from morning till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So I coach and train agents one-on-one, sometimes in groups, but a lot of my coaching and training is actually done one-on-one with agents at Main Street.
So Mo, that's an awesome path, right? And some of us on this call, are envious of this, of like, hey, you get to coach and train, you get to speak, you get to own. Has this always been your vision? Has this always been like, hey, or did you fall into it, or did you always say, hey, listen, I'm going to give back, I'm going to coach, I'm going to train?
So I think I fell into becoming a broker owner. And it was more just a series of events from my old business partner inviting me to be a partner, to that being a failure really, and then opening Main Street. I think I fell into that. I never, I didn't go through college and law school thinking I'm going to own a real estate brokerage. It
Right.
wasn't something I thought of. I found that business development was something I was passionate about. Even in 2009, when I opened the law firm, I didn't love law. You know, I
Right.
think most attorneys do get a stigma because they are miserable people to deal with. So I didn't want to be an attorney. I wanted to be a business owner. And I think I've become a fairly decent business owner, and coaching that business aspect of real estate to realtors is something I'm very passionate about. So now that I'm actually doing it, looking back, I wish I had thought about this 5, 6, 7 years prior, because I really am passionate about teaching the business aspect of real estate to people, but it was never something I intended. I kind of fell into it.
So Mo, I've always thought about this. I've always been kind of like, wow, that's amazing that you have your your attorney practice, right? And then you're a real estate agent. How did they coincide for you? Like, it was, again, you kind of fell into it, but like, what attributes from the law practice help with the real estate office?
I really think it was just learning how to grow a business. So I think whether you're an attorney, whether you're a realtor, and I tell every realtor, you're a small business owner. You can grow it to be a big business owner, but once you've got your license, you're a 1099 person, you're an independent contractor, and you're a business owner. And going through a troubling start in 2009 of my legal practice and learning how to navigate growing a small business helped me as a realtor understand that, and I think you guys coach this a lot, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
20% of what you do produces 80% of your results. 80% of what you do produces 20% of your results. You have to figure out in any business you're in what that 20% is and make sure you don't lose focus. So I call it working on your business, not just in your business. And whether it's law, whether it's real estate, whether it's mortgages, or you're selling copy machines, I think it translates to one another. Obviously, working in real estate law, I have had the benefit of learning a lot of things that maybe I wouldn't have if I had just taken an 8-week course and got licensed. So I had some benefits there because I was dealing with foreclosure defense work at a very high level. We were doing real estate closings, lease reviews. So I had some knowledge there. But I think the biggest thing that translated well into real estate was just understanding how to grow a business.
That's awesome. So yeah, so what's unique, right, is we have these conversations all the time. Thanks for noting the Pareto's principle. We do teach that as well. But what's unique about your situation is you went in there with a business owner mindset, right? The people that you are coaching, right? Do you see that being a roadblock for them? Is that they don't know if they're a business owner or if they have a job or if whatever they are? And what do you tell them? How do you coach to that?
It's a great question. So yeah, I think people get out of a real estate licensing course and they think they're salespeople. And to a certain extent, real estate has a sales aspect to it. But I always say I'm a pretty bad sales guy. If you put me on the sales floor at, let's say like Suit Supply, which is a place I buy suits at,
Sure.
you told me sell suits, I'd crawl in a corner, I'd hide, I'd never come out. But a house is too expensive to sell to somebody. If somebody doesn't want to buy or sell a home, it's hard to sell them on that. Yeah, you can teach a renter the benefits of being a homeowner, but you can't sell somebody who just doesn't want something on being a homeowner. It's lead generation. It's finding those people that have somewhat made up their mind that they want to buy and sell, and building trust with them so that when they've made that decision, you're somebody they go to. So I think for me, I tell everybody you're a business owner, and I almost beat that in their heads as soon as they get licensed and join with us. And I tell them you need a business plan. My favorite quote in the world is, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And it's the plan portion it's super important. My agents make fun of me for it because I say it all the time. Paula in our office, she makes fun of me all the time about it, but it's the plan portion. You write down your goals, you're going to be successful. I think that's partially true. If you just write down your goals all the time, I don't think that's necessarily going to make you very successful. I think it takes that planning portion. And I tell agents, you need a real business plan. You're a business owner.
We're going to get to that, Mo. We're going to dive into that in the next couple of minutes. But yeah, that has been a struggle. You and I've talked, and I've been in the business now for 20 years, right? And it's amazing how fast it goes by. But I tell these agents, and the newer agents especially, I said, hey, my business did not catapult until I stopped operating on talent, and I had a plan and I implemented systems around that plan, right? you know, that's when the world takes over a little bit in your real estate world. So thanks for sharing that. So Mo, you're a very positive person. You're a leader, right? You're influential out there in the marketplace. How do you maintain a positive mindset? You know, how have you done it throughout your career, and how are you doing it currently?
Sure. I'm positive if I'm not sitting in traffic. So everybody who follows me on Facebook knows about my traffic posts. But yeah, I think you don't have really much of a choice but to be positive. I think if you're a negative person, it's difficult to work around a negative person. I think you become off-putting. But I operate my positivity on motivation levels a lot. And I know that every single person is going to have ups and downs and ebbs and flow in their motivation. I look at motivation like if you, and I don't play video games that much anymore, but when you were a kid, you would play video games and your figure had a power bar. When it went down really low, that power bar went low, you would kind of be slower. You wouldn't work as effectively. And when your motivation levels were high, you were very, very effective. So I try to do things, whether it be read, work out, to keep myself motivated. And I know when my motivation levels drop, I'm just going to fall back on what you just touched on, systems. And systems are going to get me through the times where I might not be quite as positive or I might not be quite as motivated. But I never let my lack of motivation or positivity show to other people. I just deal with that internally. And I think every single person on this chat has moments when they're feeling unmotivated, especially right now with everything going on. And I've had them in the last 6 weeks. I've had moments where I'm kind of down about what's going on, but I just try to recheck in and know that A, I got systems, and B, everything's going to be okay. I think going through life with a positive mindset just attracts people, attracts positive energy. And it's the law of attraction. I truly believe in the law of attraction. I think if you put positive out there, you're going to get positive back.
You're going to get positive back. That's awesome. How about today? How about now in the current environment? You kind of gave us your overview of how you're doing it. What are you doing today? And as far as mindset is concerned, I know you're a systems person, and typically attorneys have that system mindset. So what system have you put in place just for your mindset, not even your business?
Yeah, I think my mindset is that, listen, this is the first pandemic all of us have gone through. If you're went through the 1918 flu, you're 103 years old and you're probably not in business anymore. So we're all in it together. Everybody's feeling kind of the same pressures. Maybe some people are feeling a little bit more, a little bit less. I started to think about what this market's going to look like. And I think anybody who's guessing is just taking an educated guess right now. And I've been coaching that. Think of this month as December. Think of next month as January. Think of the following month as February. I hit a reset button at the beginning of this and said the year's about to start again. I think everything I was coaching and training people to do in December, reach out to the people in the past year that have thought of buying and selling that you didn't convert. Reach out to somebody that was thinking of listing after Super Bowl Sunday. If they're thinking of listing in the spring market, reach back out to them, stay in touch with them. So I've reset my mind to think business-wise. This is December. Next month in May, we're in January, and then February, March is going to start after that. So I want a fresh slate going out of coronavirus, and I've set my mind to feel like we're starting a new year right now. And I think it's important, and everybody's motivated at the beginning of the new year, whether it's in fitness, whether it's in business, you're motivated at the beginning of the year. And I want to reset my own mindset to feel like when coronavirus ends, it's January 1, and then off to the races.
Cool. Mo, you and I had a very impactful conversation when we talked, and you were talking about your strategy, right? And how your strategy is really, when you're coaching into yourself, is how you win the week. And that's the topic of this conversation, correct?
Sure.
So first and foremost, talk about what inspired you, to get to that point. And then let's dive into how you actually win the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So it goes back to my quote, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So I love goal setting, and I typically, and I have one, it's actually in my room, I won't go grab it, but I have a whiteboard and I write my goals on it annually. And I break those goals, and I used to write down my goals. I've written down my goals probably since 2009. It's been about 4 or 5 years I've actually broken my goals down into what I have to do to win the week. And it's easy to equate this to fitness. If I told you I had to lose 50 pounds this year, you'd say that's a big goal. And I'm getting fat enough that I might have to lose 50 pounds. But 50 pounds is a big goal. If I said I want to lose 1 pound this week, you'd say, okay, dummy, don't eat Chipotle, go for a run. You'll probably lose a pound. A pound a week for 52 weeks is 52 pounds. Mm-hmm. I check in every week on my goals and I see where I'm at. So if this week I don't lose any weight, next week I'm losing 2 pounds. I have to stay on top of that. And I think if you take small bites out of it, you're gonna win enough weeks to win the year, or at least come close to hitting those goals. But if you're the type of person that writes down your goals and you audit yourself at the 6-month mark, once you're behind, it's hard to figure out what to do to catch up. So it was through reading a ton of different books, and I love reading. And I got to a point where I'm like, I'm writing my goals down, but I'm not any more successful than I was prior to writing down my goals. And I have to do something to change that. And I took the how to win the week and I broke it down into what realtors need to do to win the week and get enough leads to hit their sales goals at the end of the year. Basically a business plan.
Got it. So that's, so your strategy to you and to your people is, hey, win the week, right? You know, and if you win the week, if you win the week, do you need to win the week? Do you need to win a certain amount of weeks during the year?
Win as many as you can is what I say. So if you are authentically auditing yourself every single week and you're the type of person that a loss bothers you, Tommy's on here and I use his quote all the time, fail forward. And it's one of my favorite quotes. I heard Tommy say it at I think it was maybe an NAR event that he was speaking at. And I use it all the time. So you fail this week, you don't hit your 1 pound goal, you don't hit your 2 lead goal. Fail forward, learn from it, and next week hit those goals. So it's okay to fail a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a row, so long as you kill the 4th week and the 5th week and the 6th week. But if you wait until month 3, 4, 5 to figure that out, usually it's going to be too far gone. The goal is going to be too far gone.
Right. Has this strategy of winning the week, have you pivoted at all during this recent pandemic that we're in?
I think I've pivoted in the way I approach people. So a lot of my winning the week when it comes to real estate is, you got to reach out to past clients. You got to be on social media. Obviously open houses are a part of it. FSBOs are a part of it. So I've had to shift a little bit because some of the things that we were doing traditionally as realtors, we can't really do right now. Can't do open houses. You're not going to go visit FSBOs. You're not going to do certain things that you were doing before. So you turn up the dial on the things that you can do, reaching out to your past clients, seeing if they're okay, connecting in different ways on social media. And you have to now, I guess, during this time, be a little bit sensitive to people on social media. One of my agents asked a really good question. He said, we do just listed under contract, just sold to our Met database. Am I going to look like a jerk if I gloat about my business too much? And it's like, I don't think you're going to look like a jerk, but you do have to be sensitive to how you phrase certain topics right now. So I kept the same lead goals for winning the week. The same LBs you have to lose every week. I keep those the same, but you have to shift the way that you're trying to get them, because right now, some of our lead generation tactics, we just can't do them.
Since we're talking to business owners, Mo, right? And you hear the strategy, hey, win the week. What is, if someone's not doing that, what's the first step they take to do that? If you could simplify it down to one step.
Honestly, I think that's a good question. So one step, if somebody's not actually winning the week, I think it's focus on one of the lead generation tactics that's going to help you win the week. Better that one tactic. Again, break down all of them into one thing you're going to do better the following week. But honestly, you got to keep yourself accountable. I think as a business owner, to be successful, there's some difficulty being successful as a business owner because you have to be very self-aware. You have to be self-aware and honest with yourself. If you're not doing enough to be successful, that sometimes has to change within you. As a mentor, when I sit down with people, I'm a nice coach. I'm not like, and I love Rick Ruby. I listen to a lot of the stuff on the core. I integrate some of his coaching and training, but he's kind of a tough guy. He's kind of mean to his students sometimes. I'm not like that. But I will tell in my goal setting, I break down 3 and 5 year goals. And I tell people you should have a vision plan. If these are things you really want, you have to be self-aware and very honest with yourself. So I can maybe, it's like the idea of bringing the horse to the water. If they don't drink, they don't drink. But you got to be self-aware and then just focus on one thing. If you're failing at lead generation, focus on one thing you think you can do better the following week, and then just keep adding.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Mo, you mentioned accountability, and I think that's where all of us struggle, right? The accountability to ourselves, the accountability to our team members, right? Things like that. And you use the example, hey, I'll bring you to the well if you're going to drink the water and stuff like that. But How do you look at accountability? How do you focus on accountability for yourself and then for the others that you coach?
So for accountability, I simply ask realtors, show up to coaching. If you got a coaching session, you got to show up. Please don't blow me off.
Is there anything that happens if they do blow you off?
Not really. I mean, I haven't integrated any sort of penalty, but most people feel bad. As long as you let me know within, a day's notice that you can't make it, I get it. Things happen. But it's more, I find that if somebody's meeting with me once every 2 weeks or once a month, or if they're brand new once a week, if I'm spending my hour to help you out, I'm going to give you things to do by the next time we meet. Most people do it. I feel like most realtors, if they're meeting with me often, are actually doing those things, but I keep them accountable by telling them, listen, so I use this example a lot. A lot of people's goals are, let's hit $8 million. That's 200,000 in GCI for car that's typically being a top producer. I think it shifts a little bit, but that's about being a top producer. After you take out commissions and you take out some taxes, that's about $2,500 a week in income. So I tell my agents, okay, if I told you have to get 2 warm leads this week, and I bet you $2,500 for this week, just this week, and I told you to go get 2 warm leads, would you go do it? Yes, 100%. You would get your 2 warm leads. You'd come back. You'd take my $2,500. Make that bet with yourself. If you get those warm leads, if you win that week, you're putting $2,500 in your pocket every single week. So make that bet with yourself, because if you made it with me this 1 week, you would beat me. You take my $2,500. You have to make that bet with yourself. And I audit myself like that. I'm making those bets with myself every single week, and I'm betting on myself to win. I think realtors need to bet on themselves, and they need to keep themselves accountable, knowing that if you do these things, if you have a business plan that works and you stick to it, you have a ability to accurately predict how much money you're going to make. I think one of the scary things about being a business owner is, especially a new one, is you can't predict how much money you're going to make. So you don't know how much money you have to spend. You don't know what your budget looks like. You don't know what kind of house you should purchase, what kind of car. But if you do this for a couple of years and you stick to it and you see the plans working, you're able to accurately predict your business and your life. So I tell everybody, make a $2,500 bet with yourself a week if you're trying to be a top producer.
Yeah. And in doing that, you're going to eventually have a predictable business, right, Mo? When you have the metrics. So Mo, you talked a lot about systems, right, already, and kind of like, again, how they coincide between your attorney and your real estate. But since most real estate people are here on the call, what are the systems that you have in your business, and what are the systems that you coach?
Sure. Are you asking about like different lead generation systems that I put in place?
Let's start with lead generation system, if that's a system that you have.
Okay. So for me, there's a couple things I focus on. I focus on my Met database, and I have worksheets for all of these for agents that I coach with. So every method of lead generation has a worksheet and has a system. So I say twice a week, you have to connect on social media. Past clients, what are you doing with your past clients? That's going to be something. But system wise, I have past clients, I have open houses, Met database, which is referral partners, people, anybody you've ever met. And then I have how to contact FSBOs, farming, how to turn renters into home buyers. And then I have reinvesting your income, purchasing leads, doing client appreciation parties. So I have a system of lead generation, but my own business, we have a CRM on the back end of our webpage. And I use Excel spreadsheets. I'm not a very organized guy, but I have a pipeline. So one of my best systems is my personal pipeline. It's just on an Excel spreadsheet. And I mark everybody as either a cold, a warm, or a hot lead. And our goal every time we meet together is to move anybody that's a cold to a warm, anybody that's a warm to a hot, anybody that's a hot lead to a sold or a closed lead. Yeah,
that's great. So actually, Brian Moon joined the call, and him and I were talking. Yeah, you see Tommy's background. That's a good one. Yeah. So him and I were having the conversation today about systems, right? So dive into them of tell these agents that are on the call, what is the importance of them, and again, like, where do they start? You have a lead generation system, right? Sure. Probably a seller system, a buyer system, and a growth system, right? And a financial system, right? Sure. 5 systems that we need in our business. So if I'm a newer agent, or I'm an agent that hasn't had systems before, right, Where does Mo tell me to start?
Okay. So for me, I think the Met database is obviously the strongest, but within every single system, like you said, if you break it down by buyer or seller, there's certain things you're going to have to do, and you have to break it down. And I break it down for the week. You know, how much time am I going to spend on each one per week? So I'll give you an example about past clients. So past clients is super, super important for us. I think a lot of realtors fail to pay attention to past clients. One of the people that I listened to at Carr was when Jeff Lowe came in. He said, you know, one of the best things I've done for my business is I've stayed in touch with my past clients relentlessly. And a lot of my $200,000 buyers turned into $400,000 buyers. When they sold their $200,000 homes and bought a $400,000 home, that was a $600,000 transaction. They sold that, bought a $600,000 home, that was a $1 million transaction. So I'll take, let's say you have, 200 past clients, you divide it by 52 weeks, and that's how many clients would be four past clients I have to reach out to every single week. And I actually log those things. So if you have 12 past clients, one a month, break it down by 12 months. And I also once a business day, reach out to somebody that I normally would not reach out to. And I touch base with them and I ask them how they're doing. I try to reconnect with them. And sometimes I'll set up a face-to-face with them, grab coffee, grab dinner. That's me going back to the core, which is a method of training, Rick Ruby's method of training. Rick Ruby has, make 10 great phone calls a day. And I hate making phone calls. And I brought in a bunch of agents and I coached them on the core. And I said, do it for 45 days. And most people fell off on making great phone calls. And I want to always coach systems that I think people will integrate forever, not do for 30 days or 45 days and then just stop. So I tell everybody, once a business day, reach out to somebody you might not have reached out to. Make sure you break down your past clients into, if you have 1,000 past clients divided by 52, if you have 12 past clients divided by the amount of months in a year, and then make sure you stay in touch with them and then check them off. My past clients are in an Excel spreadsheet and I check off the ones I contact every single year. Reach out to them on their birthdays, anniversaries. I send anniversary gifts and I use my phone. Honestly, everything's scheduled in here. So anniversary gifts for my clients, 1 week prior to the anniversary date, I get an alert that says send out an anniversary gift. And I go ahead and I do that. Believe it or not, I don't have an assistant. This thing's my assistant. It's crazy. I should probably get one soon. That's a bad business. Tip not to have an assistant when you're as busy as I am. But break everything down, break every single one of these lead generation systems down into what you have to do every single week. Or every single day. One other thing I do is I put 5 things in my phone that I have to do the next day before I go to sleep. So those are 5 like high leveraging important things I have to do. And I don't go to sleep until those 5 things are erased and 5 new things are placed in there. The last thing I do every single day is I go back to 12 o'clock. So basically midnight the day before, and I respond to any email that I missed. So throughout our days, right now we're a little bit quiet, but when we're busy in the spring and summer market, we're running around where you might be coaching and training, I'm coaching and training, realtors are running out on buyer tours, they're going to inspections. You may miss some of your emails. I don't let a full 24 hours go by without responding to somebody. So before I go to sleep, anybody that I missed, I go back and I respond to. So the next morning, my slate's fresh, so things aren't piling up. Mark Cuban had a quote that said, if anything takes less than 5 minutes and you have the time, do it now, because humans are natural procrastinators. Anybody that says they're not is lying. And he said, if it's as simple as taking your clothes and dumping it in the laundry and starting the wash, if that takes less than 5 minutes, just do it now if you have the time. If it's a phone call and it takes me less than 5 minutes, I'm doing it right now so that I'm not piling on things that I need to do, little tasks that I need to do. So that was a long-winded answer, but
that's a great answer, Mo.
A lot of small systems.
That's awesome. So Mo, here's the reality. Here's the truth, right? The truth of the matter, and I think everyone on this call needs to know it, is that we put in a lead generation system, right? We get all excited about it, and then we do it for 30 to 45 days, and we're gung-ho, and then all of a sudden stuff comes up. We start getting busy, right? And it falls to the wayside. How do you coach to that?
So that's a great question, and it's a very real problem for realtors. And I find it's like the spring, summer boom, and then the fall, winter lull that happens with most realtors from $2 million, even to 5 or 6, maybe even $8 million. And I think it goes back to that 80-20 rule. they start to get really, really busy and they're working, in their business, not on it. They're working on the 80%, not the 20%. So my worksheets I give to realtors on lead generation, take them back to winning the week. Even if you're super busy, if you're not getting, and you're trying to hit $8 million, you're not getting your 2 warm leads, you're falling behind. You have to. I think if you look at the best realtors in Chicago, and by best, I mean highest volume realtors, their business dips in the winter a bit, but it's 10, 15%. It's not to zero. Everything in real estate lags 45, 60 days. You get something under contract to close 45 to 60 days later. You get a new buyer, it takes them 30, 45 days to get under contract. So you get all these realtors that get really busy in the spring and summer. They feel busy because they're taking buyers out, they're going to inspections, they're going to closings, and they're really excited. And then they run out of business and they're like, holy crap, I have to now lead generate. They start working on their 20%. And then when they get busy again, they go away from it. So I think systematically, you have to make sure that every single day you're doing something to lead generate.
Yeah.
And I think making sure that you hit your lead goals every week will keep you accountable to that. Because if you fall into that fall, winter lull, and then you get really crazed about lead generation, and then you're busy and then you fall off again, you don't have the ability to predict your business and your income again. I think you fall away from being able to predict your business. And I think the scariest thing about being a business owner is the unpredictability of your income. And I think if you have systems in place and you audit yourself every single week as a business owner, you will be way more predictable and you're going to be way more productive.
So explain that, Mo. That's a great statement. Audit yourself every week. If I'm a newer agent or an agent that's never done that before, what does that look like? Again, give us some insight on that.
Sure. So at the end of every week, you have to make sure you hit your lead goal. So I have a calendar and I literally jot down, let's say I got John Snow, he's a warm lead. I put a warm lead and I put a 1 out of 2 next to the 2 warm leads I need. And then when I get that second lead that week, I cross off the 1, I put 2 out of 2 warm leads. And every single week, I make sure that I'm on my lead goals. At the end of every single month, I break down what worked and what didn't work for me. So what works and doesn't work for realtors is going to vary between realtor to realtor. There's some stuff that you just have to do. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to go do some open houses. You're going to have to do some Met database stuff on social media. You just don't have a choice. But some realtors are better at stuff. Some realtors are really good at renter to home buyer seminars. Some are shy. Try it all. And at the end of the month, I have a worksheet for realtors that they can fill out at the end of their business plan. And it says, did this work? Did your FSBOs work? How many open houses did you do? Be honest with yourself. Be self-aware of what you did and what you didn't do. And how many leads do I now need next month to catch up? Or if I'm ahead, how many leads do I need to stay on track? Because if you're way ahead and you're doing great, that's when I give myself a break. So if I want to go out of town and go, I love racing cars. If I want to go racing or if I want to go do something, if I'm ahead on my lead goals, I'm not too worried about taking the weekend off. So if I audit myself every week and then every month I break down what worked and didn't work the prior month, I'm able to not only be more predictive about my business, but I'm able to give myself breathing space if I'm on track.
There you go. You guys, listen, I'm recording this and I will ask me for the YouTube link or I'll send it out, because what Mo just shared with us right there was very profound and on spot. Honestly, Mo, thanks for that, because literally you broke it down so simple, right? Of just like, but what was so great about what you were telling us is just like, audit yourself, make sure you're there, make sure you're on track, and simplifying it, right, to each month. But what's awesome, what you're saying, Mo, is do the things that you're really saying, like do the things you enjoy, you want to do, right? And that we struggle with that a lot, right? Wherever we hear, oh, we got to lead generate, oh, we got to make calls, oh, whatever. People get burnt out from that. So what does Mo like to do to lead generate? Is it video? Is it calls? Is it text?
So I love video. I think video is really strong. And everybody hates themselves on video. I've been coaching and training my realtors. Do video for your sphere of influence, especially right now. And I hate myself on video. I have a podcast. I was on Market Overdrive. I hate myself on video, but I just do it. And I think video is very, very strong. I like texting. I love face-to-face interaction. So if I can get face-to-face with somebody, I think it's the strongest way to sell. Rick Ruby says that. I took that from him. But I think face-to-face is great. We just don't have the time to be face-to-face. So I so much as just interact on social media a lot. I have the saying, likers get likes, commenters get comments, wish everybody a happy birthday. So if you're liking people's stuff, they're liking your stuff back. If you're commenting, they're commenting. I don't become happy if I have 1,000 likes on something or 500 likes. But remember, if you get several hundred likes on your actual marketing post, it bumps it up on everybody's news page. So you're getting more impressions. So just be active with people, but also be authentic. You know, if you're commenting on people's stuff, be authentic. Don't just hit the like button going down, you know, the Facebook wall. Be authentic and interact with people. I love interacting with people. And I think if you're in the forefront of people's minds, and through being in the forefront of their minds, you're also showing that you're an active realtor. When time comes for them to make a decision, you're going to be in the conversation of being their realtor. I just keep myself very, very present. I think realtors need to not be as hard on themselves about their videos. I think just do it. Just put it out there. I promise everybody's going to love it. You're the only person that's going to hate your social media presence. Nobody else will.
No.
I stay away from politics on social media. That's the only thing I would advise on. Just don't do that.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
So Mo, we're attracted to shiny objects, right? Just as entrepreneurs and business owners, you have said a couple of things, you know, that you've used. Your phone is your assistant, right? You said that you have Excel spreadsheets and you have a website. What other tools should you use to run your business, and what should other people be looking at?
So we have a fairly robust technology system at our company. So we have, you know, back-end lead CRMs. We have email blast systems. We email blast twice a month. You know, I use the MLS. I use the old version of the MLS, not the modern version. If they take the old one away, I'm probably screwed. But I honestly don't use very much outside of my phone, Excel spreadsheets, and just making sure I stay organized with my schedule. I have a lead generation booklet. You know, I have a business plan, and I use my business plan to keep me, and my worksheets on my business plan to keep me organized. We've tried so many different CRMs, and I think that's going to that new shiny thing. You know, every other week there's a new real estate tool, and some of them are fantastic, but it's how much you put into it. You know, I call us like the Democratic Republic of Main Street. When people complain, we change things. But, you know, we would get one CRM, everybody would hate it. I loved it. And then we would change it, get another one. Half the people would love it. Half the people would hate it. And I found it's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of most of these systems. So, you know, whatever system works for you, stick to it and use it. You know, you got to be a little bit, like, it goes back to self-awareness. I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at. And you have to be honest with yourself. I'm not a very organized guy. So I use some organizational tools to help me out. I'm very lucky. One of my business partners, Jeff, is the most organized guy in the world. So we work very well together because he sets up the systems and I do a lot of the front end coaching and training. But you got to be aware, like you said, you know, don't do everything all the time. Do the stuff you like more often than you do other stuff, because you're just going to be better at it. So a lot of my systems that I use are systems to help me be more organized because I'm bad at that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm going to ask you to give some advice here, you know, as we get down to our last 10 minutes. But you mentioned Pareto's principle a couple of times, and for you guys that don't know, that's the 80-20 rule. When, you know, in your eyes, when was that the biggest aha for you, and how has that impacted your business? Give examples.
Good question. I think actually the biggest aha for me was really when I was an attorney. Primarily when I was focusing on my law practice. For a while, I was on Craigslist posting, getting new attorneys that needed my help to refer me business. And I was on that like a madman, and I was gaining a lot of new business. And then I got really busy. I was driving to Woodstock to go to court. I was in between courthouses, and I ran myself basically ragged. I didn't have time. And when my business died out, I was like, whoa, I don't have any more business. And I ran back to starting to market myself again. The 80-20 rule is something I read when I first read Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I think he coaches it probably the best. And I started looking at my own business and realizing, whoa, if I don't, in the legal side of my business, at least market to people, when my caseload runs out, I'm dead. And, you know, law casework sometimes is 2, 3, 4 years. It's not 45, 60-day windows to get paid. Sometimes you're getting paid in small chunks for a very long period of time. So when I started working in real estate, I realized I have to figure out what it is in real estate that's that 20%. And for us, it's lead generation. Going out with the buyers you have, that's fantastic, but you have those buyers. That's working in your business, not on it. You got to consistently be trying to acquire new leads. If you're not doing that and you're running to your inspection, that's fantastic. You have to do that. If you're running to take photos of a new listing, that's great. Congratulations on your new listing. You have to do that. But if you don't go and try to lead generate for future business, you're only working on that 80%. So I realize that no matter how busy I am, if I don't set some time aside to lead generate and win the week, eventually my business is going to dry up, and then I'm going to be very, very worried about when my next paycheck is coming. And I just didn't want to have that feeling anymore. I had it initially in the legal practice where I ran out of business. I'm like, oh my God, like how am I going to make any money? And I realized every business, if you weren't in real estate and you were in mortgages, it'd be the same way.
Yeah. Lead generation is the core, right? So the 20% in the real estate business to get 80% of your results is lead generation.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. I mean, if you're not lead generating, if you're not doing something every single day to try to generate leads, you're eventually running out of business, and you're going to be in that fall and winter lull, and it's going to be scary. And I see it all the time. And it's unfortunately happens a lot to agents that are in kind of that $2 to $6 million range of business, because they do get busy. When you're producing $2 million, $6 million, you're busy in the spring and summer. You're running around, you're exhausted. Your buyer wanted to see 15 homes, and you had another buyer and you're beat. You have a family to come home to, you're tired, and you forget to lead generate because you felt busy. You're like, wow, I was working really hard today. But you could work really hard and be ineffective at growing your business. An employee can work really, really hard, come home and put their legs up and say, well, I worked really hard today and I did my job. A business owner might work really, really hard and be ineffective at growing their business. I think that's what business owners need to understand is if you're not trying to grow your business every single day, you're going to plateau. And then on top of that, once you've started to grow your business, learn to reinvest in your business. I set 10% of my money aside to reinvesting in my business. If you have a bank account at Chase, Bank of America, whoever, I always tell agents, open an account, put $1 in it. From every single paycheck, take 10% of that, stuff it in that account, and that's what we're going to use to market. Because I don't want to give you a wild number of $1,500 and you've only sold, 2 homes, and that's going to put a lot of financial stress on you. But if you're a producing realtor and you're not reinvesting in your business, you're still going to be pretty plateaued as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mo, you mentioned I'm going to end with 2 questions. Okay. And I know people are going to think about this. So we have some good, successful partnerships out there, yourself and Jeff, Weinberg, Choi with Tommy and Josh, Julie and Sarah, at the Dorger McCarthy group. If somebody's at the point of their business and they're saying, man, I just need another me. I just need a partner.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Great question. It's something I try to coach on. I think when somebody needs somebody else varies from person to person. I think you need to figure out your strengths and weaknesses and plug the weaknesses as much as you can once you get busy enough to do that. And I think it depends on the person. I don't have a family, so I can work myself pretty ragged. I'm getting tired of doing that, so I need the help. But somebody could be a single person who doesn't have a family and they can work really hard. I think the time it takes to get to when you need your first hire is different from person to person. But I think when you get to the point when you're conscious of you need to do the 20% and you're still not doing it, you got to hire somebody to help you out. And I think it's really smart to plug a weakness for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a weakness that you're just physically bad at, but maybe you have too many buyers. That's what's taken away your time from being able to lead generate. You need a buyer's agent. If you're the type of person who is just not very good at getting things out, you're not organized, you just can't get good at the tasks you need to lead generate. You may need an assistant. You may need a licensed assistant somewhere in between there. So I think your first hire is highly dependent on where your business is taking you away from lead generating. So I don't like saying, your first hire should be this person or that person. I think it depends on who you are, and it depends on what part of your business is taking away from lead generation. I think that's super, super important.
Well, Mo, it's great advice because you've built 2 very successful businesses. So congratulations. My last question for you is, when you look at Tommy Choi's backdrop, who actually wore it better, the guy on the left or the guy on the right?
He did. When that first went up, I started laughing and I realized the power of Tommy Choi and how popular Tommy is, because when it went up, it was like 15-1 people voting for Tommy. Everyone was like, Tommy, of course. No doubt Tommy. Like I was chopped liver. So
he was giving dinners out to people. Hey, you want to, I'll take you to dinner if you vote for me. That's how he was doing.
It was if you really want to feel unpopular in real estate, compete at anything against Tommy Choi. That was an eye opener.
I definitely agree with that. Mo, man, I can't thank you enough for your time. If anyone has questions for you and wants to reach out, where do they find you?
Find me on Facebook. My cell phone number is there too. You can email me at mo@mainstreetreg.com. Connect with me on Facebook, inbox me. I'm happy to meet with anybody. I'm always happy to have coffee or lunch with anybody at any time. If people can call me, I'm a pretty accessible guy. I believe in the idea of giver's gain. I really do. And I've been privileged enough to look up to guys like you, guys like Tommy. And what I love about this business is that the really good producing people, for the most part, are so open with their information and their knowledge, and they're so willing to give. And I feel like I have a responsibility to do that myself. I've said this all along, I've looked up to Tommy from the moment I became a realtor, from the first time I did a deal with him. And he gives back so much. And I feel the responsibility to be able to do some of that myself now. So reach out to me on any platform and I'm happy to help out. I saw some questions in the Zoom group chat. I don't know if I'm able to answer them after the fact, but I just saw them now. So I'm happy to reach out after the fact and answer any of those.
Yeah, you know what? I will take a snapshot of these. I'm sorry. I thought this was a banter between Matt and Tommy. I didn't know we missed a couple of questions.
I saw Josh, but I'll reach out and respond to those as well. I'm happy to answer them.
That'd be awesome. I appreciate you. Mo, appreciate you so much, man. You are an influencer. You are great. Thanks so much. You guys, bravo, right? To Mo. Mo Dadkhah. So, hey guys, tune in tomorrow. Mo, you're welcome to tune in as well. We got Trisha Browers from Wintrust. She is going to discuss, again, mindset, intention, and focus. She has an acronym for SHIFT and a plan for SHIFT that is going to be amazing. So make sure that you guys tune in tomorrow. Thank you guys all. Enjoy your day. Be safe, and we'll get through this. Thanks, Mo.
Thanks, guys.